So before we start our 5 proofs for God's existence, we got to define what exactly is God and what are the characteristics of that word. Everybody has a different definition, and even if it's not consciously what they're thinking, subconsciously they may have grown up with certain ideas. Now, our definition and the characteristics that we're going to use for God and that we are going to prove logically is, number 1, that he is the source of all existence. Number 2 is that he is absolute oneness. Number 3, he is all powerful. Number 4, he is all knowledgeable. Number 5 is that he is willful and intentional. And number 6 is that he is eternal. Each one of these proofs that I'm going to give is going to answer one of these characteristics. So the first one, God being the source of all existence, is going to be using the law of cause and effect. Basically, simply put, this means that every event has a previous event or action that caused it. So let's say, for example, you push a door open, then the door opens. You pushing the door is the cause. The effect is that the door opens. Another example is you throwing a ball. You throw the ball, and then the ball then goes flying. Cause and effect. As a result, we see that nothing comes from nothing. So the door is not going to open on its own. The ball is not going to fly by itself unless something propels it forward. Now, if we go back all the way to the beginning of time, we reach a first cause of all causes. That is the first definition of God, or the first characteristic of God, that he is a source of all existence. Now, the next point is going to be that all effects trace back to a single ultimate cause. This explains why we can't have multiple original causes, but it must be a single cause, proving God's absolute oneness. The way this works is every effect, or all the effects, have fewer causes that affected them. So for example, if we take our door example, you push the door open, obviously the door opens, but then you also have wind that's generated. If you have a piece of paper on the desk nearby, that goes flying. These are just a couple noticeable effects from a single cause of you pushing the door. If you throw a ball, the ball goes flying, but then also it ends up hitting something. It ends up bouncing. It rolls into somewhere else. It might hit something else. That's a bunch of different effects from a single cause of you throwing the ball. And these are just noticeable effects. There's tens, hundreds, if not thousands of other effects that are untraceable or unnoticeable to the naked eye. Now, if we were to look at this from the other way around, so if we take an upside down pyramid and at the top we have all of our most up-to-date recent effects, we find that the causes are fewer than their effects. And if we go all the way down, we end up with a handful of effects, or effects that then turn into causes, because each effect is in turn the cause of the next effect. So once we're left with a handful of effects, then we gotta keep going down to lower number of causes. Once we're down to 2 or 3, we gotta ask ourselves what caused those effects. And because we can't go below number 1, right? Because as we said previously, nothing comes from nothing. So 1 cannot come from 0. But if we go down to our first 2 causes or effects, then we go to their source, and that leaves us with the minimum, which is 1. And that is the absolute oneness of the Creator. He is the source of all existence, and he is absolute oneness. He cannot be 0 or negative, because nothing comes from nothing. The next point is that God is all powerful. Now, this once again, continues off of our last point. So because God is absolute oneness and he is the source of all sources, upon creation, there was no other cause that could interfere or assist him in any shape or form. So if we once again take our example of pushing the door open, you're using the laws of physics, you're using friction, you're using a body, you're using a door. All these things which are outside of yourself are assisting you in opening the door. Now, God, being the source of all sources and his oneness, does not have anything outside of himself to assist him or detract him from the effects that he will produce, which is the definition of being all-powerful, because he has no assistance. He is only one. The first cause did not have any assistance or anything to detract from it. So that shows that God is all-powerful. The next point is that God is all-knowing. Let's take our door example once again. If you were to push the door open, you have to know how a door works. As simple as it is, you saw somebody else pushing a door and opening a door. You did not create the door, right? You don't need to necessarily understand or know the laws of physics, even though you're using them. But because there is nothing else except for God, from the start of creation, he is the source of all sources and he is singular. There is nothing to teach him. There is nothing for him to learn from, and there is nothing for him to learn about except his own existence. And because he is one, he is all-knowing, and everything that came about, all the effects that came about after, were only as a result of his existence. They did not come about as something outside of his existence, but from his existence itself is where everything came about. So he knows everything from the simple fact that he knows himself. And because he is one and the initiator, there is nothing outside of him that he does not know, or that he needs to know about, because there is nothing except for him. And this is the secret of God's oneness, is that in reality there is nothing that exists except for God. It is only an illusion that there are multiple things. In reality, God is one and there is nothing that exists except for him. But that's going to be for a whole other video. So that's about God being all-knowing. Once again, he is all-knowing because there is nothing for him to know about. He is the only one. Number 5, God is all-intentional and willful. Now, simple proof that this creation was not an accident and that it was an intentional effect that God set into play with intention, and he was willful, is that because there was nothing else to push him to put existence into being, there was no outside forces to compel him. If there was no will or intention for him to get the ball rolling, then there would just be non-existence. Nothing would exist because there is nothing outside of him that would push him to get everything going. You opened the door because you wanted to get something to eat. You needed something outside of yourself, and that's why you opened the door and got that ball rolling. But considering that there is nothing that exists except for God, there is no reason for him to push anything forward besides for the fact that he wills it, because he doesn't need anything. He is one and there is nothing else except for him. So if it wasn't for his will and intention to create the universe, nothing would come to be. Last but not least, number 6, God is eternal. We know this from the most updated scientific discovery of the Big Bang, that all of creation came back down to a singularity, a unity, where all of the universe was compressed into a singularity, the size smaller than a single atom. And Albert Einstein, with his theory of relativity, proved that time and space are connected. So if there was no space, there was also no time. Once again, because there was no space and the entire universe was compressed into smaller than the size of an atom, due to the fact that there was no space, there was also no time. So God must be above time and space in order to make the Big Bang, if we're going to take that as our example. Also, asking what was before God does not make any sense if there's no time. And in the absence of time, we are left with infinity. So God must be infinite for two reasons. Number one, because he created time, and in order for him to create time, he must be above it. He created space, so in order for him to create space, he has to be above it. And for the simple fact that before time, we can't ask what was before time. That's in the context of time. Before time, there's no such thing as past, present, and future. So these are the 6 points that we just went over. So God is the source of all existence. God is an absolute oneness, all-powerful, all-knowing, willful, and intentional, and God is eternal. I'd be happy to hear what you guys have to say about this. If you have any rebuttals on any of the points I've made, or you want me to expand on any of them, I'd be happy to do so. Just drop a comment below. Like if you enjoy the content, and see you on the next video.